Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again, and we're going to revisit a state that I don't think I've reviewed anything from in about 3 or 4 years, so very curious to see how this one turns out. So we're going to return to Washington State on the west coast of America once again, Everett to be specific, and we're having a taste of a brewery that I believe is really quite well regarded. So for the first time we are going to review a beer from Scuttlebutt Brewing Company, and this one is their Hoptopia, which is a double IPA, Imperial IPA, however you want to describe it, coming in at 8% ABV. So it should be really nice. When I had a little quick look on Rate Beer, this one is actually their best rated beer. So as I say, very curious to see how this one turns out, and it's cool to review my first beer from Washington State in quite a long time. So yeah, I think this will be an interesting one, and as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Scuttlebutt Brewing Company. Very first time I'm reviewing one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Scuttlebutt Brewing Company then. So as I mentioned to you before, Scuttlebutt Brewing are based in Everett in Washington State, and they were founded back in 1996 by Phil and Cynthia Scuttlebannon. But Phil apparently was given a home brewing kit as a Father's Day present in 1990, and then he and Cynthia used to battle it out for use of the kitchen. Of course, you know, one wanted to brew beer, one wanted to cook meals for the family. But to keep the peace, they drew up a business plan in 1995, and they opened up the brewery with a 20-barrel system, brewing their first beer on the 4th of July, American Independence Day, in 1996. And in that first year, they went on to sell 170 barrels of beer. And they of course have increased their capacity quite significantly since then. But the name of the brewery comes from the fact that Cynthia was apparently named Scuttlebutt by her father, because she was apparently the talk of Norfolk Naval Base, when her mother was pregnant, essentially, and the word for on the base for gossip was scuttlebutt, apparently. But today they've got their own tap room at the brewery, which is on Cedar Street in Everett, and they've got a pub restaurant on the Everett waterfront as well, which looks very nice. If you go onto the brewery website in the description below, you can have a look at all the different pictures of it. But both of their tap room and their restaurant look very nice. Very kind of, you know, it's a very, I guess by the looks of it, it's very kind of typical West Coast kind of tap room, if you like. But yeah, meant to be a very, very good brewery, this one. This is one that I'd never encountered before, actually, until you know, I saw their brewery in Japan. But it's a name that I had heard before, and a craft beer name from the West Coast that I knew was quite well regarded. So when I saw this one, you know, I had to pick it up. So cool to get a hold of this beer and to get something from Washington State for the first time in a while. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Scuttlebutt Brewery just now. So if you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and things like that, and keep up to date with all the latest goings on. If you go onto the brewery website as well, you can get all the lists and the kind of comprehensive data about their beers as well. So yeah, let's go on to the tasting of this beer itself. So this one is an 8% double IPA. It's hot with Columbus, Chinook, Centennial and Cascade, and as I say, this, according to Rate Beer, this is their best rated beer out of the range. So yeah, we can get rid of the brewery notes now, and we can get on to the tasting of this one. So yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this before we open it up. There you can see the nice the boat on this one. Of course, this brewery, as I was saying, it does have a little bit of a naval theme, obviously, because Cynthia was named Scuttlebutt. Her father obviously was in the US Navy in Norfolk, which I'm trying to remember if that's North Carolina or exactly where it is. I think it's somewhere over that region on the east coast of America. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one. You can see again the bottle cap on this one does have the sort of naval theme to it, the anchor and the S for Scuttlebutt. But yeah, really nicely presented beer, this one. There you can see the pirate as well, of course. Who doesn't like pirates with other internet pirates? Or yeah, the Somalian ones you don't want to you know, mess with too much. But the original pirates that used to just drink rum and, you know, have a shag and everything like that, I think those guys are pretty cool actually. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one, coming in at 8% ABV, double IPA. So without further ado, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. Nice bit of smoke on the opening there, and we'll get it out and into the glass. There we go. So yeah, with this one, quite a nice dark ebony rosewood colour there. Not ebony, I'm talking rubbish with this one. You can see it's got a really nice dark kind of amber colour to it, this one. And yeah, it's pretty much as you would expect in terms of appearance with this one. You know, a nice dark sort of ambery orange colour. It looks really nice, kind of blood orange colour actually. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. I would say about a finger and a half of a frothy, kind of cream coloured head. But yeah, as I say, very, very typical in terms of its appearance. You know, you wouldn't expect much different from a double IPA. But yeah, it looks pretty nice. So yeah, as I was saying, this one, nothing overly surprising in terms of its appearance. Really nice dark kind of blood orangey colour on this one. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. So yeah, first impression of this one, I can tell you straight away, this one isn't at its freshest. You know, it's gone from America to Japan where I bought it, and it's come back with me. I think it's does it have a bottle on by date actually? That's a good point to think about with this one. I don't see it actually. It doesn't say what date on the label it was bottled on. You know, that's something that they really kind of should add to their beers. I've just noticed as well, I didn't actually show you this part in the thing, but it's got a little 20th anniversary, this one. This would have been, I hope this beer isn't from 2016 right enough, but they're, it says best before actually, the 12th of February 2018. So this one, I'm guessing, usually the IPAs, they put like a sort of 3-month or sometimes 6-month sort of best before date with them. So I hope this beer isn't quite that old. I think it's maybe, going by the aroma, I think it's still about 3 months, it's maybe about 2-3 months old, something like this. But yeah, in terms of the aroma with this one, the first thing you're going to notice about this is that it's a little bit more kind of malty. There's a good little bit of a caramelly character to this one, which is kind of what you would expect with one of these West Coast IPAs. It's got a nice, quite strong caramel note. That helps cover a little bit of the booziness in there. Little touch of bready quality as well, and some nice kind of biscuity aromas as well. But yeah, you can smell a good bit of the hoppy character with this one. This one, of course, had a little bit of Chinook in it, and you're going to get a bit of piney resin from that. That comes out at you right away, a little bit of that kind of dank piney resin. You can also pick up some of the nice grapefruits from that as well. But you've got a nice little bit of a kind of slightly spicy, floral aromatic note to this one as well. A little bit of a lighter kind of grassy quality in there too. And on the fruity side of things, as I was mentioning, a little bit of that darker grapefruit. You're going to get some of that from the Cascade that's in here as well. But yeah, the fruit mainly is a nice dark kind of grapefruity note. The Centennial's giving you a little bit of a sort of lemony sharpness. The beer does have a little bit of that kind of freshness to it, a little bit of that almost fresh, zesty kind of thing from the lemons, and that mixes quite well with the slightly spicy floral aromatic notes. So you've got a little bit of darkness there, that kind of typical dark, dank West Coast IPA, but you've got a little bit more of a kind of zippy, zesty kind of freshness to this one from the Centennial. So it's a really interesting mix of different things, and it's one thing that I've said for a little while on the channel is, you know, there's so many of these kind of hazy New England IPAs coming out these days that you do miss a little bit the things like this that are a bit more West Coast, and it's almost a little bit nostalgic actually to go and review some of these West Coast beers. It's a style that I've missed a little bit over the last kind of year or so on the channel, because everything really has been about the New England hazy beers. But yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time to enjoy the aroma for yourself, but let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is the Hoptopia, a double IPA at 8% ABV from Scuttlebutt Brewing Company in Everett over in Washington. This is one that I bought back from my recent trip over to Japan. So let's get stuck in. Slàinte, Skål, Kampai I guess too. Oh yeah. Now, This one still has a good little bit of freshness to it. I think it must only be about 2-3 months old, this one, so to be fair, it is getting towards the end of its sort of lifetime, this one. But yeah, it is nice how everything kind of is going together in this one. So yeah, as I say, the out of date stamp on this was for February 2019, so it's still a good few months into. There's still a good month or two left on its best before date. So yeah, for me then, this one, you can taste the middle of the palate's quite nice in this. It does have a little bit of that typical boozy caramelly note there. You can definitely feel there's a bit of a bready quality just blanket in the middle of your palate with this one. On top of that, you start to get a little bit of the kind of biscuity sweetness right in the centre of your palate though. There's a little bit of that richer kind of boozy caramel coming out of this one, but the further out from the centre of your palate you go, it's got a little bit more of a, you know, it does become a little bit more biscuity and a little touch grainy as well. It's one of these typical nice kind of West Coasty malt base to this one, and I'm finding that when it comes in, that sort of sweetness is just rolling over your tongue a little bit, and I think that the caramel in this one, it's a little bit darker. I think there is a little bit of a darkness to the caramel, but that's probably some of the boozy elements just coming out of the beer a little bit, I would say. But yeah, I like the way the malt base goes together in this one, and it is a little bit, as I say, it's a little bit nostalgic. It's taken me back a couple of years drinking this beer, because it reminds me a little bit of the Hardcore IPA, which was one of the original Brewdog beers that I really used to enjoy. But this is really nice. This is a beer, I think, if you're drinking this one compared to the New England IPAs now, this is a beer that's going to take you back to, you know, the sort of 2010, 2011, 2012 sort of era. This is a very kind of, I'm tempted to call it a sort of old school West Coast double IPA, this one. I really like how this one's coming off. Let's have a look at the hoppy side of this one then. So the back corners of the palate, a little bit of earthiness there, but as you come further forward, it starts to evolve more into that kind of dank, sort of piney resin. That's the Chinook coming out. But as you come further forward towards the front corners of the palate, it's got a little bit of a spicy kind of floral aromatic note. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and grassy. Then of course behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you've got that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And for me, it's quite a lot of grapefruit coming out of this one. But when you've got Cascade and Chinook in this one, that's definitely what you're going to get, particularly from the Chinook. The Chinook's a big, dank, piney, strong grapefruity hop, and the Cascade does have a grapefruit element to it as well, but it's just a little bit juicier, and you can pick up both sides of the coin in this one. There's some of the darker grapefruit just towards the back bubble there on the front, you know, the front curve of your tongue. I like how everything's going together in this beer. Yeah, this one's, it really is quite nice. A little bit further towards the front of your palate, you do get some of these nice kind of lemony flavours coming out of the beer as well. It's just, the way that everything goes together in this one is very, very nice. So have a go at it for yourself and you see what you think. As I say, this is a beer that reminds me quite a bit of the old Hardcore IPA from Brewdog. I think you can still get a sort of slightly different version from that in Tesco in the UK. They do have the Mr. President, which is very nice, and I think pretty much it's the same recipe bar 1 or 2 hops, which they've changed. But this beer really does remind me of the Hardcore IPA, which was a beer I always enjoyed. So this one for me is kind of hitting the spot. If you want a sort of old school West Coast double IPA, then this one is going to be absolutely right up your street. And I can see on the basis of the taste of this one why it's so highly regarded. And I would say with this beer, you know, it's a very good quality double IPA, and again, this is a style that I've missed over the last little while. So if you love these West Coast IPAs and you like the kind of old school Chinook Cascade sort of thing, you know, you are going to enjoy this. If you like the sort of vibes that you get from the likes of Sierra Nevada Torpedo, again, this is one that you're going to enjoy. So it's cool to find something like this from another one of the American states, because as I say, it's been a long time actually since I've reviewed a Washington beer. The last one was actually a beer from Elysian, if I remember correctly. But yeah, lovely beer, this one, and I think in terms of flavour profile it really does take you back to the sort of 2010, 2011, 2012 sort of era of craft beer. I really like what they've done with this, so big thumbs up to Scuttlebutt Brewing on this one. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, this one's somewhere between mid-bodied and full-bodied. Carbonation is very smooth. It leans towards the oily side of things in terms of its mouthfeel, which again is what you really expect from these West Coast double IPAs. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness to this one. I would guess it's somewhere in the region of, like, you know, 70-ish, 60 or 70 IBUs, this one. Maybe a little bit more than that, but I guess, you know, about 70 IBUs out of this beer I think is probably fair. Good little balance in the malt base with this one. It's got a little bit of sweetness there, but it's also got some of the smoothness coming out of it as well. But it's got a nice big hoppy bitterness and some lovely kind of juicy fruity notes, although I would say the fruit element to this one is leaning quite a lot towards the grapefruit side of things, so it does have a good little bit of that darker, almost sour flavour coming out of it, but not sour in the way of a kind of sour beer wild ale sort of thing. It's not got that tartness to it, it's just that nice dark grapefruity flavour. So yeah, as I say, if you liked, for example, the beers that this one reminds me of, it reminds me a little bit of the Sierra Nevada Torpedo. It's got that kind of classic dark grapefruit kind of resiny sort of West Coast IPA style to it, and also the hardcore IPA, which is one from Scotland and one that Europeans are a little bit more kind of familiar with as well. So if you like those two kind of beers, this is one I think that is going to be right up your street. But yeah, very interesting one, and it's cool to find, as I say, another beer to review for you from Washington State after quite a long time. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. If you know, hopefully I can return and review some more of the Scuttlebutt beers in the fairly near future, but this has been really cool to review for you, and it's been a pleasure as well to return to a nice West Coast IPA rather than the New England ones. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Scuttlebutt Brewing as well, and hopefully we can return to these guys in the fairly near future. This one was the Hoptopia, a double IPA, 8% ABV from Scuttlebutt Brewing Company in Everett, Washington, just a little bit to the north of Seattle in Washington State. Until the next time, it's Slanja just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Slanja, Skull, and for this one, since it came from Japan, Kampai.